Hello and welcome to HiveState Bakugan. I thought it was time to go ahead and start the next set review. This is for Bakugan Resurgence. More and more cards are starting to leak for the next set, so thought I might try and get this one fully done and out before the next set launches. So let's just roll right into it with Aquos Actions Aquaphi. So looking at the first card in this new set, we have Aquaphi. It's only one energy to play, and it says swap the Baku cores attached to the Bakugan you rolled this turn and the opposing Bakugan. Quite a few of the Bakugan from this set have this kind of an ability, and it's kind of interesting, honestly. Depending on the way that you're playing the deck, if you're doing a decent bit of trap cores and stuff like that, you can technically guarantee your opponent gets a trap for only one energy. Roll your own Bakugan onto like a -500 core, spend one energy, switch out the cores, now your opponent has the negative and you have the positive. It's a cheap card that can win you brawls even early on. I think I like it, but only in the right decks. Then we have Aquos Splash. 5 energy for this one, so quite a lot more for plus 1200 B power. That's interesting. 5 on the little curve should be for 1000. So it is above curve. Now, if you haven't watched my other videos, what I mean by curve is how much energy is worth how much either damage or B power boost. So this is above what that amount of energy should give. That's nice. But then again, if you're spending 5 energy, it's already pretty late in the game. 1200 B is great, so that is good. But if something happens where this is countered, you're probably going to lose because you spent that much energy on a single card. But in saying that, this can jump you up quite a bit. So maybe, not a 3 of, but I could see it as 2, maybe. Blinding Ink, 2 energy for this one. Negate an action card that costs 3 energy or less. So it's super cheap and it gets rid of small things. I feel like this is a bit better in other games, but there are some cheap action cards right now that this could actually do pretty well with. So if your opponent missed a roll, played a card, tried to reroll, for 2 energy you can just tell them no, and then you still get the attack. So maybe that's one I'll have to play with to give a final verdict. Claw Cutter, 2 energy for 4 damage. On curve card. That's does what it does. Dark Waters, 1 energy for plus 200 B power. Okay. And you can reroll your Bakugan. So it's an on par, cheap card that allows you to reroll your Bakugan. So if you rolled and you got what you want, you can stick with it. Otherwise, you're getting 200 B power and you're getting that extra like flow if things have flow. So it's cheap to turn on flow, it gives you an on-par curve, and you get to reroll your Bakugan, so it's just a good card. I like it. Deep Dive, 1 energy to draw a card, and you may reroll your Bakugan. I might like this one better. It replaces itself in your hand, so you do get through your cards and get what you need. It turns on flow because it's so cheap. And you get to reroll if you've missed. It's not a must, so even if you just use it for the draw, it's cycling through your deck. Yes, you're taking damage, but you're turning on your other abilities and possibly getting better cards to play to boost you through to win. So I can include Deep Dive. Hurricane Winds, 3 energy for 300 B power. You can play an action card that costs 4 or less for free. Okay, depending on the way you build, this is fantastic. Pay 3 energy, 300 B power, that's not great. That is like half curve. But half curve is perfectly fine whenever you can play another card that's 1 more higher for free. So it's just turns on flow, which I've said so many times. At 3 is a little high, but does that 3 really matter whenever you can turn on cards that's going to win you the duel and give you 300 extra. It's in the right decks, which is a key phrase. It's great. Mud Pit. 4 energy for this Aquos card. 400B. That's not good. But if you have Flow, you get +4 Frost Strike. So I'm currently working on some Frost Strike things, and this one, though it's not terrible, it didn't quite make the cut for the build that I was working on. It's okay, I guess. I'll defend it slightly. Riptide, 4 energy for this card. You must reroll your Bakugan, you don't have a choice. And if you open on the reroll, that Bakugan gets plus 500 B power and you draw 2 cards. So it's kind of risky in the sense that if you're playing this on a turn that you stood and your opponent stood, you might get the bonuses and it might help you out towards the battle that's about to take place. But then again, you may just give your opponent an uncontested victory. But where there's no other Bakugan rolling towards you when you re-roll, solo re-rolls should, in theory, be easier, and it's something that you can practice. So that plus the 2 cards, not a full playset of this in decks, but I could see a couple of this for the right situation. So, Sneak Attack. This is one that made a little bit of a commotion whenever it first came out because it's a Bakugan Elite and it's an action. It's the first one that we've had this way, and I look forward to seeing more actions that are Bakugan Elites. Sadly though, I don't like this one. It's 6 energy, and for the rest of the turn, both players may play Evo cards from their hands for free. Okay. The fact that you're paying 6, well, that's not great. That's a little expensive. Yes, you're getting to play as many Evo cards as you want for free, but so is your opponent, and they didn't have to pay 6 for it. So this is a card I would almost rather play, or, well, to word it correctly, I would almost rather see this card played against me, because it lets me play my cards for free, and I didn't have to dump any energy into it. So it's iffy. The best deck that I can see this type of thing in is one that focuses on your opponent discarding their hands, or this is decent against an opponent who doesn't really have too many evolutions. So I'm most likely not going to include this in really anything I build. Unstoppable. This one I like pretty good. 3 energy for 600B. Perfect on curve. That's good. If this Bakugan's holding a Green Fist, so many decks build around this, plus 2 Frost Strike. So not only are you getting a good boost that can, I mean, it's not a fantastic boost, but for 3 energy, it's decent. You're also getting extra damage from the Green Fist, and you're getting 2 Frost Strike to stop your opponent from playing their flip cards. So it's okay. Water to Ice. 3 energy for this card for 5 damage. Not a good rate. But if you're holding a shield, you draw a card. And still, I do not see this as a card that I would play. We're moving into evolutions. Diamond Hydranoid is the first one we're going to be talking about. 4 energy jumps you up to 600B and 12 damage. Here soon, something I am going to be doing on the channel, so subscribe and pay attention for it and all of that. I'm going to be breaking down, once the 3rd set is fully dropped and the set reviews for that one's up, a video that pretty much explains what is good and bad when it comes to B power and damage based on evolutions and how effects will kind of come into play with that. So this is not, it's a little tough to judge some of these evolutions at the moment, but we'll do what we can. For 4 energy, you're jumping up to 600B and 12 damage. That damage is good enough to, if you're playing a damage flip deck, to be able to take out a decent bit of things. And the B power is okay for that. Some Bakugan have that as a base B power. And for 4 energy, it's not the worst. It's not the best either, though. The Ultra version, however, has 8 energy. And for 8, you're getting 1900 B power. That's real beefy. It's not the biggest for the least, but that's still... It's storming. We'll see how it goes. So 1900 B and 8 damage. The price is high. So unless you're running the right little combination to get that energy to push this out, or if you're running some things to cheat it out, it's okay. But that late in the game, I feel there may be some better cards that you want to use. All depends on the core of the Bakugan, really. And why did it go away? The next is Diamond Serpent's Ultra. This is a 7-drop, so again, it's one of the more expensive cards. It just has 7 Frost Strike, so if you're doing a Frost Strike build, and if this thing actually wins a battle, you're probably just going to deal whatever damage this thing's dealing. But in saying that, it has 7 damage, which is okay, not great for 7 energy. And it has 700 B power, which is also not great for only 7 energy. This thing's a bit tough to get to win, especially for how high of a cost that you have to pay for it. The all 7s is cool, but all in all, I'm a little underwhelmed. I love the idea behind this Bakugan, but it's hard to actually fall in love with. There's a way that I want to try this in a build, but it's very gimmicky, and that's the way it's kind of gonna stay. Hor Theon is the next one. This one costs 3 energy because, you know, it's hyper, it's quick. 900 Bs for 3 energy. Not bad, I'll take that. 3 damage, not good, but I think I'll take it because whenever you win, you also get to draw a card. So every time you win a battle with this Bakugan, which should be moderately easy, 900 is not bad, you get extra cards in hand. So it keeps your card plays, and it's doable. I think I like this one okay. It's not the Ultra version, it's just regular Hor Theon. Hypertonia Ultra. I like this card. It's cheap, 2 energy. That can turn on flow a bit later. 700 Bs, not bad at all for 2 energy. I think I'm okay with 700 B. 4 damage, it'll do. Not great, but it'll do. If you land on a Green Fist, which is boosting damage, you're automatically getting 300 more B power. So 1000 B for 2 energy, not bad. I will take that. But it has more. It's one of the Bakugan evolutions that whenever you play it, it does something. And where we can play the same evolution on top of the same evolution now, it's not just a one-trick pony, it can keep doing its things. I mean, I guess that's kind of the definition of a one-trick pony. It does one thing and it does it well and it keeps doing it. Bad analogy. But whenever you play it, you get to give a Bakugan 2 extra damage and 2 extra Frost Strike. So if you're already playing with your Elias, you can just drop this down, make it better, and give yourself the extra damage and Frost Strike. So it could be a 6 damage when it comes into play. Or another way you can use this, if you're playing with another Bakugan and it just won, you can spend 2 energy, which is pretty cheap, to boost damage by 2, which isn't much. It's super below par if you're looking at it as an ability card. But it's also giving it 2 Frost Strike. So if your opponent stopped playing with just enough energy so that they could stop your attack, well, now they might not be able to, because that 2 extra little cost. Unless you're playing against Darkus, I like this card a lot. Hydranoid. This one only costs 2, so it's also still cheap. 700 B powers, good. 4 damage, so kind of the same stat line we were just talking about. But this one's effect is constant. Whenever it opens, you can swap the Baku core attached to it with an opposing Baku core. Again, pretty good if you're playing a trap deck. And it says you may, so if you roll and your Baku core is better, keep your Bakugan. You don't have to change it. I'm actually pretty okay with this Hyper Mantanoid. Hyper Serpentes, 2 cost, 500 B power, so it's less in B, and 5 damage. More in damage. Okay. Then it has abilities that depends on what it lands on. If it lands on a regular shield, which is going to boost its B power, it gets +3 damage. So if it lands on a shield, it boosts both. If it lands on a fist, which is going to boost its damage, it boosts B power. So again, it boosts both. So it's one of those that when you raise one, it raises the other. It's an equalizer, we'll call it. Next is Hypertonia Ultra. This one costs 4 energy for 700 B power and 7 damage. So the B power is good, the damage is good. The 4 energy is not the worst. And if you land on a green fist, you're boosting both. 400 extra B power, 5 extra damage. That's really cool. And you can reroll this once a turn if you miss a roll with it. So if you miss your roll and your opponent opens, well, you get an unopposed roll to focus and hit what you need. Not bad. Hypertonia. This is one that I very much like, and I'm definitely including this in a Frost Strike build. It only costs 3 to evolve, and it turns it into an 800B. Okay. 4 damage, so it's still not good on the damage. None of this Frost Strike stuff is really good on the damage, it seems. But if you land on a B power boost shield, or just any shield, really, I'm just being specific, you get 4 Frost Strike. I'm basically saying if you land on something that helps you win, it helps you beat in what you've deserved. So this could be a team attack leader, in my opinion. Hypertonia Ultra, same turtle, but bigger. This one's 2 energy to play, 800 B power, and 4 damage. Not too shabby. And if you land on a Helix, it boosts both your damage and your B power. Also really good. And if you miss, you can re-roll. Just a really solid turtle. Now we're moving into Sindus Ultra. This is the Titan version. This one is 5 to play, so it's a bit later on in the game. Has 3 Frost Strike base, so anytime it hurts, it's definitely hurting. It also has 1000 B power, so it's going to do some decent fighting. At this amount of energy, that's just, it might be a little subpar B power, and it only has 5 damage, but that can be raised. If you play at least 2 cards, which is probably going to be boosting your B to help you win, you also get 5 extra damage automatically, so it jumps it up to 10 damage. It's an interesting evolution, and I'm kind of a fan. I wish it cost 4 instead of 5, I think, but altogether I'm happy with it. It has some decent things. Titanileus. We've probably already seen a couple like this, but I would like to state, I really wish they wouldn't have used and recolored the same elite artwork, and if they did, I wish they would have taken off the thing that helps the hex and makes it feel like an elite. It gives you a false sense of hope. You'll open a pack, see the thing, and you're like, oh, it's just a rare. But that's just a tangent for whatever reason. This costs 5 energy, has 900 B power, and 8 damage. But if you land on a Mystic Shield, you get plus 200 Bs and plus 2 Frost Strike. So Aquos is really hammering in Frost Strike in this set, it seems. There's quite a bit. And it also has the, if you miss a roll, you can re-roll. The 5 energy for this is a bit steep. For what it is, I don't think that I would play this one. Nah. Titanileus Ultra is 4 energy for 1000 B power. That's good. 6 damage, not too bad. And then it has a really unique Victor effect. With this Victor effect, you reveal the top card of your deck, and it gets damage equal to twice the revealed card's energy cost. So if you're playing some high energy cost cards, it's just a lot of free damage. Also, let's say you're pairing this with Pyrus. You flip the top card, it just reveals it, so both you and your opponent sees what it is. If it's a good card, whether it be an extra B power boost, whether it be something that doubles the damage, or it's a hero, anything like that, if you have the right cards in hand, you know when to just play the I'm gonna play a free card. Yeah, so this could have some really good teamwork in an Aquos Pyrus combo deck. So we'll play with this. We'll see how that goes. We're now moving into the flip cards. So first is Deep Freeze. 1 energy, stops a Bakugan holding a shield or a helix. This is a new little mechanic for this set, and it's where you're stopping a Bakugan holding a specific type of core. I really like this mechanic, especially if you pair it with, let's say, Chaos. With some of the cards in the last set, you can give your opponent a specific core. Let's say it's a Trap Fist or something like that, or we'll use Helix. Let's say you give them a Helix that reduces damage. Well, you're reducing the damage you're about to take. Yeah, it costs you a bit to do it, but that's fine. We've seen that before. And on top of that, you know what flip cards you have in your deck. So you know that giving your opponent that negative may just stop them with this 1-cost card. So it's really neat. Some are better than others though. And this is one of the ones that I think are just okay. It depends on how both you and your opponent's decks are built. We'll just keep going, and I'll tell you my favorite when we get to it. Hey, we're at one of them. This one is phenomenal in my humblest opinion. Stop a Bakugan holding a Green Fist. Green Fist decks are everywhere right now. And if you're playing Green Fist and you have any Aquos in it, include this. If you have 6 Green Fist cores on your team, just as an example, that's 50% of the field. If your opponent lands on any of your cores, for 0 energy, you can stop their attack. Doesn't matter. Just 0 energy, you stop them. I like this card quite a bit. Next card. This one's the exact opposite. I don't like it whatsoever. Lost at Sea. You can waste 2 energy to flip a coin. If heads, you stop the attack. Cool. Otherwise, you just wasted your 2 energy. It is a very gambly card, and I don't like this kind of, I guess I'll say RNG. This is the last flip in the set, and this one also costs 2 energy. And it says choose a non-energy card in play and return it to the owner's hand. So if you have, well, let's say the evolution for Kirk. Let's say you have 2 that you already played. This will let you bounce it 1 back to your hand. You're spending energy, which is not good on a flip card, but I'm trying to fight for it. Or let's say your opponent has a hero or an evolution that you don't want to see for a bit. Make them repay for it. Get the best out of it you can. I don't think I'll include this in anything I ever build. Actually, you know what? That's not a tangent that I'm going to go in this video. I was going to talk about something that I don't like with flip cards and how I would like to see them, but we'll make that its own thing. We'll do that a video later. I'm going to write that down whenever I'm done recording. Yeah. Let's move to the last card in the set. It's Shun. This is 3 energy for this hero. When you open a Bakugan, you can draw a card. It's not whenever you battle. It's not anything like that. It's when you open. So if you open, you get to draw a card. If you play a reroll card that lets you draw a card, you get to draw a card off the reroll card that lets you draw a card, and then you get to draw a card again if you actually open the thing and draw another card. I think I like Shun. It helps you. It doesn't help your opponent like Strata does. Granted, Strata gets you +1 card a turn. This one should get you +1 card a turn. So this one requires a bit more skill, but it only helps you. I think I can see Shun in some decks. I think I like this hero quite a bit. But that's the end of Aquos for Resurgence. Make sure to subscribe and stick around because, you know, the next part of this, I believe we'll probably do Darkus next. We'll do them in attribute order, excluding Arliss. Arliss will be saved for the last. So yeah, Darkus is coming very soon. But until next time, as always, you'll see me when you see me.